At my sister's birthday party, my father grabbed a microphone and made an announcement that froze every smile in the room. Tonight, he said, our successful daughter, Venus, is giving her penthouse to her sister Tara. 30 guests clapped like it was generosity, not humiliation. I stood there, heart hammering the keys still cold in my hand. My mother's eyes dared me to obey. My father's grin told me I had no choice. And when I said no, the sound of his hand cracked through the music. My earring hit the marble floor and rolled away. That slap shattered everything, including whatever bond we still had left. The night had started like any other Carter family celebration, loud, polished, and painfully rehearsed. The house gleamed under chandeliers, the marble floors catching reflections of gold dresses and half-finished wine glasses. A string quartet played near the windows overlooking Atlanta's skyline. From the outside, it was perfect. Inside it, felt like a stage where I never got the right lines. 2 hours before that slap, I'd arrived with a bottle of vintage wine and a polite smile. My mother barely looked up. "Oh, good, Venus, just put it on the bar," she said, fussing over the dessert table where my sister Tara stood, surrounded by friends. Tara laughed loud, the kind of laugh that filled a room and demanded attention. Her fiancé Ethan leaned in to whisper something, and she swatted his arm playfully, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "You look tired," Mom added without turning around. "You work too much." "I lead a company," Mom, I replied softly. "It's supposed to be work." She hummed, distracted. "You should think about balance. Maybe help your sister get back on her feet. She's been struggling." That word struggling had become the family's excuse for everything Tara did. For years, she'd floated from one failed project to another, cushioned by my parents' endless support. Meanwhile, every time I achieved something, the applause was muted, followed by reminders to stay humble. I greeted relatives and family friends, the usual crowd who thought they knew us. Aunt Nancy pinched my cheek, still treating me like I was 12. "Still single?" she asked with a smirk. "All those degrees, all that success." "But no man yet," I smiled thinly. "No, Aunt Nancy, no man yet." Her husband, Uncle George, raised his glass. "Maybe if you stopped being so intimidating, sweetheart." "Men don't like that." Their laughter scraped my nerves. I found a quiet corner near the bar, pretending to check emails. Across the room, Tara basked in compliments. "She's such a free spirit," someone said, "not tied down like Venus." "Yeah, another added money isn't everything." I sipped my wine and swallowed the bitterness burning up my throat. Dad moved through the room like a politician, shaking hands, grinning wide. He'd built his success on charm and control. When he finally reached me, his hand landed heavy on my shoulder. "You proud of your sister tonight?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Of course." He leaned closer. "You've done well for yourself. Maybe it's time you shared that good fortune. Family takes care of family." His tone wasn't a suggestion. It was a command wrapped in affection. I nodded, pretending to listen as he walked away to refill his drink. My pulse quickened. There was something in his voice, final rehearsed dangerous. The music swelled. People gathered for a toast, and I caught Tara's eyes. She looked almost nervous, almost guilty. Then Dad raised the microphone, and I knew. The night was about to turn into something none of us would forget. The sound of the microphone feedback cut through the laughter like a knife. Conversations stopped, glasses lowered. My father stood in the center of the room, his posture proud, his voice dripping with performance. "Tonight," he began, "we celebrate family generosity and the bond that keeps us strong." I already hated where it was going. I'd seen that gleam in his eyes before, right before he announced something that benefited everyone but me. He turned toward me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. And what better way to show that bond than a gift from one sister to another? Our hardworking Venus has decided to give her penthouse to her sister Tara. The room erupted in applause and gasps. Some clapped out of shock, others because that's what you did when the patriarch told you to. Cameras flashed. Someone shouted, "That's incredible!" I froze, glass still in my hand, my smile stiff. For a second I thought I'd misheard, but then Tara covered her mouth in mock surprise. "Dad really," she said, voice trembling just enough to sound sincere. My mother dabbed at the corner of her eye, whispering, "This is so beautiful." My stomach twisted. I could feel 30 pairs of eyes turn toward me, waiting for me to nod and play along. My father extended his hand expectantly, his palm open like a demand. "Come on, sweetheart," he said into the mic. "It's only fair. Your sister's been struggling. You can always buy another one." Something in me snapped. The years of silence of smiling through their favoritism of writing checks and never being thanked, they all collided in that moment. I set my wine glass down the stem, trembling slightly in my fingers. "No," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear. The sound sliced through the applause like glass shattering. My father blinked, confused at first, as if the word didn't register. "What did you say?" I straightened my back, the weight lifting off my shoulders with every syllable. I said, "No, I'm not giving away my home." A ripple of whispers spread through the crowd. Aunt Nancy's mouth dropped open. Uncle George muttered, "Ungrateful." My mother's voice cut through them. "Venus, don't do this. You're embarrassing us." I turned to her. "I've supported this family for years. I paid for half of this party, the wine, the chef, everything. But this is mine." Tara's eyes glistened fake tears. "Venus, please, it's not like that." But it was exactly like that. My father's smile vanished. His jaw locked tight, microphone still in hand. "You're defying me," he said. Stepping closer, his voice dropped low, but the room was so quiet everyone heard it. Before I could move, his hand came fast and hard. The sound echoed. My head snapped to the side, my skin burning. My earring flew off, rolling across the marble floor until it hit the leg of a chair. The room gasped in unison. No one moved. Not a single person stepped in. I straightened slowly, touched my cheek, and looked at him. He waited for me to crumble to cry to apologize. Instead, I picked up my earring and whispered, "Happy birthday, Tara." Then I walked away. The hallway outside the banquet room was colder, quieter, like the air itself refused to carry the noise from inside. My cheek still burned my skin hot against the chill marble. I pressed my hand to it, half expecting to see his fingerprints branded there. Behind the closed doors, the music had started again, a desperate attempt to pretend nothing happened. That was my family turning shame into background noise. I walked faster, heels striking the floor in steady rhythm. I wasn't running. I was done running. In the reflection of a glass console, I caught my face. Calm, detached eyes hard. That calm scared me more than the slap, because it meant something inside me had gone still, like a lake right before a storm. I reached into my clutch and took out my phone. One tap. That's all it took. A single button glowing blue. I stared at the screen for a second, then locked it. No one inside knew what that button meant, but I did. It wasn't rage driving me. It was precision. Months ago, my best friend Kayla had warned me, if they cross that line again, don't argue. Just call her. Grandma's the only one they fear. At the time, I'd laughed. I can handle them. Kayla had just looked at me and said quietly, "Handling isn't the same as being free." Now her words echoed as I walked down the hallway. The string quartet's song faded, replaced by muffled voices. My heels clicked like a countdown. I stopped by a floor-to-ceiling window. Atlanta's skyline shimmered beyond the glass, all those towers glowing indifferent. Somewhere out there was my penthouse, the one they tried to strip from me with applause. My reflection stared back, half in light, half in shadow. The elevator chimed. I stepped inside, pressed the lobby button, and watched the doors close. My pulse slowed. Every floor that passed was another layer of control sliding back into place. In the lobby, the air smelled like white lilies and expensive perfume. I leaned against the marble wall and exhaled for the first time. A text buzzed on my screen. "On my way." I typed one word back. Then I turned my phone face down, slipped it back into my clutch, and walked toward the glass doors. Outside, the summer night was still warm, but I felt nothing. As I crossed the driveway, headlights swept over the entrance. A black sedan pulled up and a woman stepped out. Tall, composed hair silver under the lights. She didn't look at me. She didn't have to. I nodded once. She nodded back. Inside, laughter still spilled faintly from the windows. In 30 minutes, that laughter would stop. And when it did, everyone in that room would finally understand what happens when you try to humiliate the wrong daughter. The quartet was still playing when the doors opened, but every note felt hollow. The woman in silver hair walked in heels, clicking like a countdown. Conversations froze mid-sentence. "Daniel Carter," she said evenly. "Explain why you laid a hand on your daughter." My father lowered the microphone, color draining from his face. "Mother, it's not what you think." "Then tell me what I should think," Margaret replied. Her cane struck the floor once. "You humiliated Venus. You demanded her home like she was an ATM." Her eyes swept the guests, and every one of you applauded. The silence that followed was heavy. Even the quartet stopped. My mother stammered, "Mom, please, it was a misunderstanding." "Be careful with that word," Margaret said. "You've used it to justify cruelty for years." My father straightened his tie. "It was family business." She overreacted. I stepped out from the doorway. I said no, I told him. "That's not overreacting. That's setting a boundary." Margaret turned toward me, but didn't interrupt. She just raised her chin and declared, "You have 5 minutes to find her earring." A gasp rippled through the room. Tara dropped to her knees instantly, her gown dragging across the marble. Guests shifted, unsure whether to help or hide. My father's jaw twitched, eyes darting between his mother and the crowd filming him. "Mother, this isn't necessary," he said, voice rising. "It's absolutely necessary," she replied. "When a man strikes a woman, he kneels to pick up what he knocked down." No one moved. Even the air seemed to wait. Tara crawled a few steps, searching beneath tables. Her mascara streaked down her face. My mother whispered her name, but didn't dare move closer. Phones were up now, every angle, every second streaming online. "Enough," Margaret said. "Stand up, all of you. This family has mistaken obedience for respect long enough." She faced my father directly. "You run a company, Daniel, not a kingdom, and as of this moment, you run neither." He blinked. "What are you saying? I'm rewriting my will tonight. My estate, my accounts, everything goes to Venus." Shock rippled like wind through glass. My mother gasped. Tara froze. "That's insane," my father barked. "You can't, I can, and I will." Her voice didn't rise. It only sharpened. "You embarrassed me. You broke your daughter's dignity in public. You will live with that mirror." He tried to laugh, but it cracked in his throat. "You'll regret this." Margaret turned to the crowd. "You've all seen enough. Remember what you witnessed." Then she looked at me. "Do you have the earring?" I nodded and opened my clutch. The pearl rested in my palm, small but radiant under the chandelier. I walked to the center of the room and set it on the table. "There it is," I said quietly. No one spoke. My father looked at it like a bomb. My mother's hands trembled over her chest. Tara stared, eyes glassy. Margaret's gaze softened just slightly. "Venus, she said you owe them nothing. Take your things and go." I exhaled slowly, like releasing years of air I'd been holding. "Thank you." I turned to my father. "You wanted obedience. You got silence instead. I hope it echoes." He took a step forward, desperate. "We can fix this," he said. "You're still my daughter." I met his eyes. "Not tonight." Then I looked at Tara. "You could have told him no. You always could have." She swallowed, speechless. Margaret tapped her cane once more. "The party is over." Guests began to scatter, murmuring apologies and excuses. The quartet packed their instruments quickly. Even the air conditioning sounded like it wanted out. I met Margaret by the door. Up close, her expression was fierce but proud. "You've done well," she whispered. "They finally saw who you are." "And who they are," I answered. She nodded. "Tomorrow, we'll sign the paperwork." I gave her a faint smile. "Make sure you rest tonight." She squeezed my arm lightly. "You too, child." As I walked out, the sound of heels and whispers trailed behind me. The night air hit my skin, warm, sharp, with the scent of cut grass and car exhaust. I looked back once through the glass wall, my parents frozen in the aftermath, Tara still kneeling, the pearl glinting under the chandelier. It didn't look like victory. It looked like release. A black sedan waited outside. Kayla leaned against it, arms crossed. So she asked. "It's over," I said. She opened the door. "Let's go home." As we drove off, the house shrank in the rearview mirror, its windows glowing like fading embers. My reflection overlapped with the skyline ahead, calm, steady, untouchable. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just let the silence fill the space where their voices used to live. By morning, the video had gone viral. Someone had streamed the entire scene, the announcement, the refusal, the slap, and the moment my grandmother walked in. It spread across every platform with captions like, "Father slaps daughter over penthouse gift," and "Family party turns into public meltdown." Reporters camped outside my parents' house by noon. Dad's business partners withdrew from pending deals. Mom's charity board quietly asked her to step down. Tara's engagement evaporated overnight. Ethan's family released a statement about values and stability. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. The world was saying everything for me. In my penthouse, morning light stretched across the floor to ceiling windows. Kayla scrolled through her phone, shaking her head. They're trending, and not in a good way. I poured coffee, the smell filling the quiet. They wanted attention, I said. Now they have it. She looked up at me cautious. "Do you feel better?" I thought about it. The ache on my cheek had faded into a ghost of heat. "No," I said. "Not better. Just done." A new email blinked on my screen from Grandma Margaret. Subject finalized. "Body, the paperwork is complete. Everything is under your name now. Rest." I closed the laptop, leaned back, and let the stillness settle. For the first time in years, silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. That evening, the city glowed beneath my windows like a map of everything I'd survived. I stood there holding the pearl earring between my fingers, its smooth surface cool against my skin. Then I fastened it back into place. The reflection in the glass looked like someone I finally recognized. People think revenge is loud, that it burns and destroys. They're wrong. Real revenge is quiet. It's choosing yourself and never looking back. I picked up my phone, typed a message to Kayla, "Dinner tomorrow." She replied with a heart. I smiled. "If you've ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to love you," I whispered, "you're not alone."